People might ask, what's the point of reading historical fiction when you could just read a nonfiction book about anything that happened in history? Well, a lot of times those books can be pretty dense and full of footnotes, and it's hard to relate to the characters or the people in those stories because they're coming from a completely different place than you are. For example, some of the books I'm going to feature today have to do with female pilots in World War II. Now you could read this book by the Smithsonian, it's in the Smithsonian History of Aviation series, The Great War in the Air. It's nice and thick, it's got tiny print, and if you're an aficionado of military aviation from 1909 to 1921, this might be a good pick. But if you want to hear or read a story about what it was like to be a pilot, then you're probably better off sticking with some historical fiction. It doesn't mean that it's all completely made up. It is grounded in fact, but it's just more relatable. So here are some of my historical fiction picks, most of them centering around World War II. The first one, as I mentioned, I was going to do two about female pilots. This is called Flygirl. It's by Sherri Smith, and it's actually about an African-American girl in 1940s Louisiana who has very light skin, so she can pass for being white, and she's passionate about flying. So she enters the WASP, or Women Air Force Service Pilots group, and goes overseas and uses her passion for flying to participate in the war. Now, it also has to do a lot with identity and figuring out who you really are, and do you need to hide who you are in order to succeed in your passion. The next book is Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. This is about going to Siberia in a prison camp in Stalinist Russia. And a lot of times we have a lot of books about Nazi concentration camps, but not so much about what happened in the USSR after World War II ended. So this is an extremely powerful book. I would highly recommend that one. The second book about female pilots that I wanted to feature is codenamed Verity, which you might have heard of. It's a little bit of a slow starter, but it's such a multi-layered story. You have female pilots in England, and there's some definite torture scenes going on because they're captured, and different, obviously it has to do with code names, and the friendships that form between these female pilots. And at the end, it's hard to deal with the ending, but you know it's the right ending for the story and for what these characters would have wanted. So this is extremely well done. Wein also wrote a companion novel called Rose Under Fire, which does deal with the Sachsenhausen concentration camp and a female pilot who gets shot down over Sachsenhausen. So those are a few of my picks for teen historical fiction that have come out recently. Of course, there's tons more. I might put a list at the end of the video just so you can take a look and see if there's anything else that interests you.